Yo, what's going on, you guys? It's your boy Ben Mahari here, representing Mahari Nation Sports Podcast. Much love to the entire LDBC. Before I get to this video, I wanted to give my personal prayers and wishes for Miss Tay Tay Brown, one of the sisters of the community here. Um, yeah, yesterday she basically announced to the entire LDBC community that she basically is diagnosed with COVID-19, and she's one of the frontline workers out in New York, and you know she's a very strong woman, and she's been working on the front lines since the pandemic began. And right now, she's in home recovering. She basically confirmed that she can't smell or taste anything. Her body has been, aching on her. You know, I just wanted to personally say, I've been there. It's basically that feel of loneliness and just like despair is very, very real. But the most important thing is you take care of yourself and just take it one day at a time and be strong minded during this whole, recovery process. It's going to be hard, but I believe that she'll be able to make a full recovery out of this. So I just wanted to say, hearts and prayers out to Tay Tay Brown, and you're gonna make it through this. And we wish you nothing but the best. We wish to give you all hearts and prayers on a speedy recovery. But to get now to the video that I'm going to be discussing here, um, I wanted to give my thoughts about the whole, Will Smith and Janet Hubert, reconciliation during the Fresh Prince of Bel Air reunion. And it's been 27 years since those two individuals had pretty much, talked to each other. Um, I really felt that it was very heartwarming to see them, finally, talk it out and pretty much, have the understanding about what they were, where were they coming from during that period of time. Um, you know, People don't really seem to understand how much Will Smith's rhetoric hurt Janet Hubert's career. You know, because during that time, Janet Hubert pretty much said that she was going through a lot of personal issues in her life. She was going through a difficult pregnancy, abusive marriage, all sorts of different issues at the time. And she felt, isolated. She felt like distant because she didn't have anyone else that she could talk to or just try to, consolidate her feelings with. And Will Smith, at the time when he was a young man, he was about what, 21, 22, really, I would say didn't have the, mental and mature understanding of where she was going through at the time. And obviously the stories of both of them, fighting with one another and being difficult to work with basically led to her dismissal from the show. She wasn't fired. She just pretty much did decline, the deal that the NBC was offering her, and she pretty much, went her separate ways. And unfortunately, that led to the downfall of her acting career. She wasn't able to secure any, roles or any, jobs in Hollywood. Because listen, when you get that reputation of very difficult to work with, angry black woman in Hollywood, that's pretty much a death sentence. And you know, Will Smith had a lot to do with that as well. It wasn't just the other people there, like Alfonso, Alberto, Roberto, talking about it too. A lot of people would contribute to that, but Will Smith in particular, played a role into the downfall of her career. So I pretty much appreciate the fact that Will Smith, pretty much came clean and said, I had a lot to do with her career being, pretty much dead after she left the show. Because and the thing is that Will Smith was pretty much a driven person to try to be the best actor he can be. Because people tend to forget, even when his hip hop career was off to a hot start, he was not good in terms of his money. He spent money on all the wrong places. And, during the late 80s, I'm saying, he pretty much was on the verge of being bankrupt because he spent a lot of money, and the IRS, seized his money. It was reported between the years of 88 and 89, you know, Will Smith basically had to basically owed $2.8 million to the IRS. And the IRS, as normally they do, took many of his possessions, garnished his income, and was on the verge of being broke until, NBC, called them in 1990 and pretty much, set up the show of the Fresh Prince of Bel Air revolving around him, where his acting career, took off. And so I appreciate the fact that Will came out and just admitted to all these things. But I think, what really stood out to me mostly than anything was is that what really stood out to me was he pretty much said that I could not do this reunion without you because you meant so much, to my life. And to see Janet finally hearing those words, I could tell in her eyes she felt validated. And she pretty much felt validated. And she felt like this was a moment of healing. And I do agree 100%. I think that that whole time that they pretty much, were trading bars with one another, all they were doing were just hurting one another because they knew their perspectives. And, I think that to hear Will Smith finally admitting that, admitting to his faults, and Janet was no perfect either. Okay, she was no perfect either. She basically, said her stuff about Will Smith too that was very hurtful as well to the media. And at the end of the day, I think that finally that those two finally came together now that they're both, mature adults. Will's much more older and much more understanding now. Now he's a family man with kids, and is going through a divorce right now. Um, I felt that it was very heartwarming to finally hear those two just talk it out and just finally, joke around and just embrace, you know. And at the end of the day, I think that even if she never gets any more roles in Hollywood again, but the fact that she was able to get something in her life that she could finally take from it is that the fact that she felt validated and she finally felt that it was time to let go of the pain and the animosity and just move on with her life, and she did that, and I credit her 100%, and I credit Will for pretty much being the big man and just pretty much doing the right thing. Not many people in this society are willing to do that. But the best part about it is that when she finally was able to walk into the studio and meet up with all the other characters, including with Daphne Reed, who basically replaced Janet Hubert as the Aunt Viv character, they never met each other, which is a big surprise to me. I never thought that they actually never met each other. And they basically hugged it out like they were basically long lost friends. It was very heartwarming to see them embrace, Janet Hubert. You know, I'm sure that James Avery is smiling in heaven right now. You know, that really sucks more than anything. That James Avery, who was basically the heartbeat of that show, wasn't there to basically embrace to all this, reunion stuff. You know, as you guys all probably know by now, James Avery died back in 2013 due to complications from open heart surgery, and he was the heartbeat of that show, and he was the guy that really was the guy that basically was the glue that kept the show together. And without his influence and without him mentoring Will Smith, during his transition as an actor, I must say we probably not seen the Will Smith that did all these great movie roles, as his career took off. And so I really, really enjoyed the reunion. It was very heartwarming to see. I hope that Too Raw for TV can do a video about this too, because I'm sure he's got a lot more perspective than I do. Because remember, I was born in 1992. You know, I was too young to remember a lot of the shows until obviously the reruns helped me see the show from his proper perspective as an older person now. But that show was really one of my was you want to talk about a show that really defined the 90s. That show, along with Family Matters, were the two shows in my view that really defined the 90s. Two outstanding black families on television. Dominating mainstream. I mean, it can't get no better than that. And it was very. I don't think you'll see other networks taking a chance on that anymore. You know what I'm saying? A lot of the episodes were very touching. A lot of the episodes that were very heartwarming, funny, but also very teachable too. It really helped out a lot of the youth, during that period of time there too as well, especially with all the stuff going on with racism and politics and everything else that even though it's still going on today. But to conclude this video, um, I really enjoyed their reconciliation. It was well overdue, and I'm very glad that both of these people finally did it. And it was finally good to see them close the 27-year feud once and for all, and just start anew. You know, as just respected individuals and probably close friends now. And so salute to those two people. Salute to Janet Hubert. Salute to Will Smith for pretty much doing the right thing, and we can finally put this feud to rest. But that's just pretty much my whole 2 cents about the whole thing. I really enjoyed the entire reunion. It was pretty much fun, and it was really one of the best reunion shows I think I've seen in a while. So I know there's been other reunion shows that have been kind of better, had different type of value, but I felt that this one was really, really heartwarming and real as it gets. So that's just my 2 cents. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below.